Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, but here I am. This video is going to be more or less my likes and dislikes about my 2002 Toyota Celica GT. First off, the biggest complaint there could physically be is it's a little underpowered. But then again, most sports cars of the early 2000s were a little bit underpowered. At least the Japanese ones anyways. Or at least the... okay, I know I'm going to get flamed a little bit. Normal sports cars. Normal Japanese sports cars. I'm not talking like GTRs and stuff like that. Like early 2000s Miatas, this Toyota Celica. I mean, the early 2000s, just in general, as far as cars go, were kind of a bit underpowered. But that's just kind of how it was at the time. But that is the only real big complaint that I have. So this might actually be more of a why you should buy one if you can kind of scenario. The biggest upside to this car, it's an early 2000s Toyota. You can beat it half to death and it'll still keep going. I have only had 2 or 3 issues with this car since I bought it. I've had it for about 7,000 miles. It currently has 205,000 miles on it. The only real issues I've had with it, the hatch struts went bad. That's an easy fix. As you can assume from a car that's over 20 years old, the valve cover gasket had to be changed, which I got changed yesterday. Let's see what else. I replaced the door. If you've watched the last video, I can't remember if I changed the door before or after the last video, but I changed the door because there was a huge dent in it. But I cannot honestly recommend this car enough to mainly first-time drivers. And even to parents of first-time drivers. It's a sporty, relatively nice riding car that almost anybody could enjoy, and it's got low enough horsepower to the point where they're not going to be getting into any trouble. And to make it all better, the gas mileage on this thing is pretty good. I mean, I typically get 30, maybe a little less than 30, like 28 to 30 to the gallon usually. Something like that. I don't actually ever like check it. But I mean, with this car, the only notorious problem with these cars is the oil pumps. And at 205,000 miles, my oil pump's still doing fine. So that's not even that big of an issue. My only warning to people who are looking to get one of these cars, my only warning is, I mean, you're going to have to change some shit. I apologize for my language if that offends anybody, but this car is 22 years old now. Seals are going to go bad, like my valve cover gasket. Parts are going to, I mean, this car's getting old. Parts are still readily available and easy to get your hands on, but you're going to have to change some parts. And if you're looking for a first car to build, wouldn't quite recommend this one. If you want to build one of these, it's extremely hard, and you have to get the GTST instead of the GT. if you are going to build this car. I personally wouldn't recommend it unless you're going to engine swap it, and even then engine swapping it is a pain because of how little engine space you actually have. So I personally would not recommend modding this car, because if you want to mod it to as a show car or something, perfect for that. I think these cars are gorgeous. Great cars if you want to build something to look nice. I mean, the problem with that is it's very easy to make this car look stupid, and it's very easy to make this car look fantastic. You get a TRD style wing, some halogen headlights, some halo headlights. You get a new paint job. I mean, that's really all it takes. If you want to go crazy, you can buy some new wheels are a given. If you want to go crazy with it, buy a carbon fiber hood if you really want to. Other than that, not much. It don't take much to make this car. It don't take much to get this car to look good. I mean, now where this car is really bad for horsepower, but where it exceeds is in the tight turns. This car is so fun to take some sharp turns with. Like going down a twisty road 10-15 miles over the speed limit. I'm not saying that you should do this, I'm just saying that you could. It handles really well, as long as the parts for handling aren't all destroyed and stuff by now. If you get one, handles fantastically, rides really nice. I honestly could not recommend this car more for anybody trying to get into, I mean, perfect entry-level sports car. I mean, there's only one entry-level sports car that I would recommend a little more than this, and it's got a little more power than this. I would highly recommend New Edge Mustangs a little bit over this. But I do not have a New Edge Mustang. I have a 7th gen Celica. So take that with a grain of salt. But if you aren't looking into getting a 7th gen Celica, here are some ideas for other cars around the same price range that you might be interested in instead. So you have, first off, if you want to get into the JDM scene, nothing better than a 300ZX. Specifically the Z31 models, I see those going all the time for $2-3 grand. All the time on Facebook Marketplace. I see these going on Facebook Marketplace anywhere from $1,500 for an abused one to $3 grand for a decent one. So right kind of in that same kind of area of price. Like I said, a New Edge Mustang, also a great choice. Those are starting to go up in price, but you can still find them on Facebook Marketplace for $4 grand, and you can find them at used car dealers. The V6 ones, you can find them for what, $5 grand. Low mileage ones go for maybe 10. If you really want some power, I know it's ugly, but if you really want some power, what generation is it? I don't know. Just 95 through, I think it's 99 Chevy Camaro SS. You can get those for around $3 or $4 grand, and for the price, they're probably the best power you can get for that price. And I can always recommend Honda Civics. I would personally, I mean, I've only driven one kind of Honda sporty-ish car, I guess, and it was an Accord Coupe. I could recommend that to the moon. But Civics and Accords, don't matter which one you get the coupes, get the hatches, they're fantastic. Now, if you want to go a little bit out of the zone of cars between 1 and 5 grand, I mean, pick yourself up a Nissan 350Z. Only issue with that is for parents of newer drivers, they are kind of powerful vehicles that have something called snap understeer. I would not recommend that to new drivers. I mean, unless obviously somebody can teach them how to deal with it. It is a relatively powerful car. 350Zs, I mean, it's in the name, have around 300 horsepower stock. If you are going to get a 350Z, the one thing I would not recommend doing is modding it. Not right away. You need to fix everything on that car before you mod it. And even then, as soon as you mod a VQ engine, that's where it becomes unreliable. Like, not even just with VQs. As soon as you start modding any engine, it gets less reliable than it's supposed to be. That's just kind of how it is. I mean, they're changing out the parts that were deemed compatible from the factory, so it's going to happen. But 350s, anywhere from 6 to 10 grand on Facebook Marketplace for a decent example. You can find decent kind of middle range mileage examples at used car dealerships for around 10 to 15. But now, since we're on the topic of cars that are a little more expensive, for around 10 grand, like the 350Z, you could also get yourself a C5 Corvette. That's got quite a bit of power as well, and that's kind of for you American muscle guys. I mean, I personally do like American muscle. There's very few cars that I dislike, and I could not recommend C5s enough. I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, they have LS1s, one of the best engines ever made, makes great power no matter what you do with it. I mean, I haven't personally driven C5s, but I've seen plenty of them. I've done my research. Great cars. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you how much horsepower they make, but one of the most reliable, best to build V8s ever made in the LS1. Perfect car. I mean, but if you want to go old school like the Z31, FC Mazda RX-7, going to be a little bit unreliable because they're old rotaries that probably haven't been taken care of too great. But if you want to go older, more old school Japanese cars, you can get, like I said, the FC RX-7. Another option, one of my personal favorite JDM cars ever made, the Mark III Supra. You can find those from anywhere between 5 and 10 grand. I mean, in all honesty, the choices are endless. I mean, GR86s are perfect, or not GR86s, like just that whole platform in general, the VRZs and stuff, they're great beginner sports cars. I just personally, unless you grow up in like a car enthusiast family or something, I personally wouldn't recommend anybody who's just starting out in sports cars or just starting out driving to get anything over 300 horsepower. And even then, 300 horsepower for some people might be a little much. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it is your money. If I get, we'll say 5 likes on this video, or shit, if I get 20 views on this video, I'll make a video going over the best starter cars in my opinion and their general prices at this moment. We'll see what happens. It is a new year. I'm going to try to upload a lot more. I'm gonna start working on some videos later tonight, actually. After I make this one, it's gonna be either some Need for Speed content or maybe I'll do some the crew content. You know, the crew, what is it? I just bought it. It's the newest one that came out a couple months ago, or maybe even some car mechanic simulator. I know that the car mechanic simulator videos and the challenge runs for Need for Speed Heat, they did fantastically in comparison. I do appreciate all the support on those videos, and I apologize for the people who really wanted to see the next parts of the Need for Speed Heat challenges. I did accidentally lose all of that footage, so I do greatly apologize for that. But some more challenges will be coming out soon, I'm sure. I mean, really, the only thing that's stopping me is my computer is kind of underpowered at the moment. At least to deal with recording and running Heat and everything. I really need to upgrade my graphics card. So if I do start making more challenge runs, it's gonna be just like the other challenge runs that are on my Xbox. I don't like doing that, but I don't have an issue doing it, if that makes sense. But I mean, it's 2024, new year. Expect a lot more videos out of me. I'm gonna try my best to release a video or two each week. Depends on what I have the time for, because I do work a full-time job, and I can't honestly, I mean, I have plenty of time to make videos, but it's balancing all that stuff and going to the gym is kind of stressful. But I mean, I plan to get out more and more videos as the year goes on, in hopes of achieving the dream for the channel. I am saving up money currently because there is a car that I found that I would like to buy, and I'm sure you guys would like to see me buy. I mean, I really, really want this car. Not gonna spoil what it is because I may or may not get it. I'll just say what it is that I found, because in all honesty, the world doesn't go the way we want it to most of the time. But I found a right-hand drive 1998 Toyota 11. Yeah, right-hand drive directly from Japan. 87,000 miles. They want $10,000 for it. If I can get to enough money, if I can get about $5,000 or $6,000 before that car sells, I will buy it, and I will be making tons of content on it. I will learn to drive manual in it. I will just be making tons and tons and tons of content with it, going to car meets and all that other stuff like that, which I do plan on going to some more car meets this year. I know I didn't upload the 2 car meets that I went to because of some recording error, and I greatly apologize for that. But let's just put it this way, I plan on putting out a lot more content for you guys to hopefully enjoy and hopefully create a small community for ourselves. Alright, that's going to be the end of this video. I would appreciate it if you could like or subscribe, and in all honesty, just enjoy the rest of your week, the rest of your day, what have you. Alright, goodbye guys.